Disappointment stings when you care. And that caring, well, that's just proof that you are still invested. Hello, 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 and welcome to More Than Money, a podcast where we have nuanced conversations about money, business, and life, where we take the time to explore the human side of money because success with money is never just about the numbers. I'm your host, Jacquette Timmons, and whether this is your very first episode or one of many, I am really, really glad that you are here with me today. So now, look, I am recording this in early June, summertime, the start of summertime, unofficial, but the start of summertime. And this is really a great time to pause and invest in taking your financial and behavioral understanding to the next level. And I just happen to have the perfect tool to help you to do that. It's the More Than Money workbook and its audio companion, a combination that's designed to help you align your money with a bigger vision. And it's a holistic approach. And this holistic approach blends practical tools like milestones, reflections, and rituals with emotional insights to help you create a financial strategy that actually fits you. Ultimately, it's designed to increase your financial clarity, confidence, and self awareness. And all you need to do to get started is go to jacquettetimmons.com/digital dash products. Again, jacquettetimmons.com/digital dash products. In the meantime, though, let's get into today's show. Have you ever had that moment when you already know the answer, but you haven't seen or heard it yet? That was me one night recently. I saw the email land in my inbox. It was like 10:37 p.m. and I knew it wasn't going to be what I wanted to hear. And how did I know that? From the preview on my phone. It read, "Thank you for your thoughtful follow up and for the energy you brought to our conversation, dot, dot, dot." And my gut said, nope, this speaking gig is not happening. But I didn't open it. It was 11 o'clock at night. I was getting into bed. And quite frankly, I just wasn't ready to read a no. So I waited. I waited until the next morning. And not only did I wait until the next morning, I waited until after my workout. And sure enough, my gut was right. The email read, "After careful consideration, we decided to move in a different direction for this opportunity." Now, look, I know I wear three hats in my business: professional speaker, business and finance coach, and salesperson. Every entrepreneur or business owner at the end of the day, sales is a big part of their job, right? So that last role is what drives my ability to get booked for speaking gigs and to get hired as someone's coach. So I hear no a lot. But for whatever reason, this no hit differently. I took it hard. I felt disappointed. I felt sad. Not because I didn't know this was a possibility or maybe even a probability, and not because I don't know how to handle rejection. I certainly do on that front. But some no's just touch parts of you that are already feeling tender. And in this particular case, I had already been wondering, well, how did I do on the discovery call? And I was especially excited and I guess a little nervous too, because this firm had been on my target list for a while. And they reached out to me based on a referral. So that upped the ante a little bit. And because that's huge when somebody refers you and then the firm reaches out to you because of that referral. So all of that came together, and I let myself feel hopeful, right? I let myself imagine what their yes could make possible in 2025 and beyond. And at the end of the day, that's the tension in business, right? It is this tug of war between hope and outcome. You show up, you have the meeting, you follow up, you follow through. And in between all of that is this very vulnerable act of wanting. And money's wrapped all up in that, right? It's wrapped up in that too. And it's not just in this particular case about the potential revenue that I won't be receiving. It's also the loss of the opportunity from the standpoint of the value that I knew I could bring, the impact that I imagined having, and the trust that I had hoped to build. And now, well, now none of that will happen, at least not with them, or at least not at this time with them. But here's the thing, disappointment is such a layered experience. Yes, it touches everything: money, business, and life. And money, it's the deal that didn't close, right? The budget that didn't stretch, the dream that you deferred again. In business, it's the client who didn't renew, it's the opportunity that passed you by, or the pitch that didn't land. And in life, it's that quiet ache of regrouping after something didn't go the way you hoped and you had a setback. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you were disappointed? And I mean, like, stopped in your tracks disappointed. How did you respond? What did you do to take care of yourself while you sat with that feeling? One of the things that I am really proud of myself for doing in this situation is that I didn't try to rush through my feelings. I owned my sadness. When people asked me, the day later on that day and the day after how I was doing, I was very upfront and I just said, I am just okay today. I let myself feel it. I gave myself some space. And yes, even though some days have passed, it still stings. And yes, I am wondering who in the world was selected. I am human. I am wondering about that. But here's what's become clearer to me in the days since receiving the professional version of "It's Not You, It's Me" email. Disappointment only stings this much when you care. And that caring, that's not a weakness. It's actually proof of your engagement with your work, your mission, and your aspirations. So again, yes, I was disappointed, but I am also proud that I let myself care enough to be disappointed. I am proud that I didn't try to bypass my feelings and that I practiced some extra self-care as I sat with those feelings for the few days after learning of their decision. And I believe doing so is what enabled me to genuinely write a gracious reply, one that wasn't a canned, perfunctory kind of response, A, and B, one that genuinely left the door open. And it came from the standpoint of, one, immediately expressing gratitude for the meeting, immediately expressing gratitude for the person who referred me to them, but it also included an invitation. And it was vis-a-vis this sentence: if your direction shifts in the future and you see a space where my perspective on money, business, and life might be a good fit, I'd be delighted to reconnect. Because here's the deal. In a world that is filled with uncertainty, disappointment is inevitable. Sometimes that disappointment is with ourselves, at other times it's with others, and sometimes it's just simply with outcomes we just can't control. But you and I, we can choose how we respond to that disappointment. So let your next disappointment actually be a reminder that you are still in the game, that you are still reaching for what's possible, and that you are still invested in what you care about. And that, my friend, is something to honor. If something I shared today resonated, or if you've been sitting with your own no, I'd love to hear from you, because you are not alone. I am with you, and so are a whole bunch of other people. I'd love to know, what was it and how are you tending to yourself as you move through it? You can go on ahead and send me a DM on Instagram, or maybe just write it out and just sit with your own answers for now. But whatever you do, don't mistake your disappointment for failure. Why? Because it might just be proof of your heart still being in it. Until next time, stay in the game. And that is it for today, folks. As always, thank you for listening or maybe even watching if you are joining us over there on YouTube. If you liked what you've heard and you would like to show appreciation for this podcast overall or this particular episode in general, please do me a favor and share it, because when you share it with people in your circle, it helps us to reach more folks than we could on our own. And if you happen to be listening on Apple Podcasts, please take a moment and hit those stars and go on ahead and hit 5 if you don't mind, and leave a review as well, because yes, it's all about the algorithm. And when we have a combination of both, it just helps us to get found by more people when they're searching. And of course, if you are on YouTube, please comment below and let us know that you are there. And here's one more shout out before I sign off today for the More Than Money Workbook and its audio companion. Again, it's designed to help increase your financial clarity, confidence, and self-awareness. And I hope you'll add it to your money toolkit this summer. And of course, if you'd like to buy me a coffee, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Jaquette, buymeacoffee.com/Jaquette. Thank you so much again for listening or watching, as the case may be. I will be back with another episode, and I hope that you will too. Until then, remember, it's about more than money.